Hmm. Real quick recap on the Floyd Mayweather Manny Pacquiao fight. My reaction to it. A lot of people saying, Jeff, please tell us what your reaction is to the fight. Jeff, you've watched a few boxing matches, you know, in the last 2, 3 years. Obviously, you're the person whose opinion we want on the subject. Well, you can quit waiting, okay? Get ready to be on the edge of your seat because I'm going to tell you right now what I thought. And here's what I thought. I was surprised in how surprised I was, which is to say that I knew that, I really thought Pacquiao was going to swing and, punch from angles, and I thought that Floyd was going to block and make him miss and counterpunch and win by rounds. Anyone who didn't, think the fight was going to go to Mayweather by rounds, didn't. I mean, it would have been a long shot for it to finish any other way. Where I was surprised was that a few times Pacquiao got him against the ropes and got some combos in. And if you've watched Mayweather fights, when he's up against the ropes, he kind of fucking shoulder rolls and rope-a-dopes and stuff, and you miss. Which is why, the Victor Ortiz fight, that's why Victor headbutted him, in my humble opinion, watching that fight a couple times, is that Victor was so just pissed off because, he's a professional boxer and he's just toe to toe with this guy and swinging at him when he's against the ropes and he can't hit him. So I was surprised to see how much Mayweather was touching him up to the head and to the body. He was actually connecting, which I don't think, which doesn't happen often at all. But he didn't throw enough to win. If he would have done more of what he was doing, then it would have been a different result, probably. Or at least would have had a chance. And Mayweather is just boring, which is why he sells himself and he talks. One of the reasons why he talks like he does and kind of gives the persona, gives out the characterization of himself that he does. Part of it's because he's the D-bag with no class, but part of it is because, well, not no class, he's got a little bit of class, but anyhow, so I was surprised that it was as close as it was, to tell the truth, and and then at the end of afterwards, the press conference, I just heard Pacquiao say he thought they're talking about him having a shoulder injury. If that's true, it kind of makes sense. You can argue that he shouldn't, whether it is true or not, he shouldn't have said it. He should have kind of taken his lumps or whatever. But if that is true, then, excuse me, if that is true, that makes it interesting and it makes a little bit more sense. It's either one reason or another, Manny wasn't throwing like he used to. Maybe it was a shoulder injury, or maybe it's just because he's not the same fighter he used to be before he lost. I think he lost 2 out of his last 3 fights or something like that. So, bummer of a day. I don't feel, I paid pitched in on a fight, and I don't feel ripped off. I got my money's worth for sure, but it's bad for the sport. In the sport right now, you got the 2 dominant forces are Mayweather, who just runs away and hugs and slips punches, which is a skill, and he sticks his freaking elbow out a lot, which that's not really a skill. But I mean, he's definitely really, really good at what he does, and he's effective, and so you have to give him credit for that. But it's not interesting to watch, and it's kind of shitty. Then the other dominant force in the sport right now are the Klitschko brothers, who do a similar version of this, they have this impenetrable defense, which is different than Mike Tyson, whose defense was impregnable. But they just stay at a distance, and if somebody gets inside, they just wrap them up, and they win fights with left jabs for 12 rounds, and so that's boring. It's bad for the sport. What we need more, Marcos Maidanas and more, characters that are willing to go toe to toe and trade and, Basically, just more Mexican boxers because they know how to fight. They fight correctly, the right way. Oh man, it's gonna piss me off too if Mayweather, and he's bound to tie, if not surpass, Marciano's win record, which will be a bummer. But that said, he was the better man on the night, like they always say in the British fights. And now you know what I think about the fight.